Welcome to Geneseo Today. News and insight on issues in and around Geneseo.
I'm Carolyn Przybycien, and this is Geneseo Today. For this episode, I am joined by Louise Wadsworth, the downtown coordinator with LiveCo. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for asking. I'm glad you're here. Can we just start by having you explain exactly what your position is at LiveCo?
Good question. So, first of all, LiveCo is short for Livingston County, which is the county we're located in here right now. And my position is downtown coordinator. So I work basically and mostly with the 9 villages in the county. So that would be Avon, Livonia, Lima, Caledonia, Geneseo, Mount Morris, Nunde, Dansville, Leicester. So they're all 5,000 people or less. And I work a lot with the downtown districts, the businesses, and the buildings within that district.
So what exactly does LiveCo do?
Our office is really economic development. So we are trying to have sustainable businesses, have a growing economy here in Livingston County. So to that end, we have several different departments within LiveCo, one of which is tourism. So really we use the LiveCo brand for the tourism part. And then we also have Grow LiveCo, which is our economic development part. And then we also have Industrial Development Agency, which is for bigger businesses like Craft or Barilla, things like that.
From what I understand, LiveCo focuses on enhancing these towns, whether it's economically or through tourism and things like that. How are these villages and towns selected to be a part of LiveCo?
In the beginning, which that would be going all the way back to 2003, when we started a downtown revitalization program. And back then we started with the 4 smallest or least developed villages. But now all 9 have actually joined and they actually pay a membership to be part of the downtown partnership. They each pay $5,000 to be part of the downtown partnership.
Which were the original 4?
Good question. We were just looking at that. I think it was Nunde, Livonia, Mount Morris, and Avon, I think. They were the ones that needed the most help. And they're still the smallest.
Why was LiveCo created?
Downtown revitalization is something that not every county does, first of all. So we started because especially villages like Mount Morris were seeing high levels of vacancies. So when I started my job in 2005 here with the county, I think 80% of the buildings in Mount Morris were empty. And now they're all full. It's probably one of our best retail downtowns in the county. We had a lot of money go into the village through private partnerships. We had actually a SUNY alum who bought 26 buildings on Main Street of Mount Morris and totally renovated them, fixed up all the apartments upstairs, got new businesses in the downtown. We actually have partnerships with college students to help us do a little branding for it. So Mount Morris is a very good example of, you put your attention on something and you can change. You can change the feeling around it. When we started with Mount Morris, I had funds that I could use to incentivize people to locate in those downtown buildings. So we would pay half your rent if you would locate your business in Mount Morris. And most people said, no, thank you. I don't want my business in Mount Morris. Since then, we are now almost completely full in the downtown, and we're not paying their rent. So that has been a success, a huge success. We've also accessed a lot of state money, state grants. They're not easy to do. There's a lot of restrictions, a lot of hoops you have to jump through, but it has really helped us to put more money into our downtown buildings. So one thing that you might not know is that, say, a building in Dansville would be worth about $80,000 if you tried to buy it today. In order to fix up an apartment or a storefront, it probably would cost you $50,000 to $75,000 that you would have to put into that building. And then that building is not going to be worth $150,000 when you're done. So that's one reason why we have grant funds to help, because these buildings will not appreciate in value as much as the money you put into them. So we help to offset that.
I was looking at the annual report from 2023 that Livco put out, and it said that Geneseo received $4.5 million from a grant. So how does that relate to the projects that are going on in Geneseo, and how does that connect with Livco?
So that's interesting. We actually wrote the application that got that grant. But since they were awarded that money, we have not been involved in that particular process. That particular grant fund is really operated through the state more than locally. So, for instance, they were awarded that beginning of last year, I think. We submitted all the paperwork for the projects the end of last year, and no project has actually started yet. So it's been a whole year and nothing has happened. So that's a little frustrating, but it is an opportunity, a grant like that, to really take a village to the next level. And I'm hoping to see some major streetscape changes, things that will really improve the downtown and the feeling of the downtown, the pedestrian friendliness of it. We have a lot of transition happening in Geneseo right now, with the big tree being closed since the pandemic, several vacant buildings at the moment, but it's not dire. It is something in process right now. So that $4.5 million, there's 2 buildings that I know of in the downtown that look derelict, maybe 3, but they're waiting for that money to be accessible. And they can't start their projects. They are not allowed to start their projects until they get the go-ahead. So it looks bad right now, but it's really on the upswing.
Just a little kind of aside, are you guys involved with the Big Tree reopening, or is that a completely separate project? Because I know that Big Tree is working on opening again in the next few months or so.
We have been in touch with the people. We have actually tried to get many different groups to take it over, but this one finally clicked, and we've been working with them as much as we can, with them to get funding to get the operations up and going. I think it's a really good team. They have experience in event coordination and also in food management, so I think they have the skills to do it, and I'm really excited, and we just really need to all get out and support them as soon as they do open.
So what aspects is Livco focusing on in relation to reviving these downtowns?
So the program I run mostly right now is called First Impressions, and it is a 50-50 matching grant, so up to $5,000. So if you did a $10,000 project, you'd get the full 5 back. Or if you spent $2,500, you'd get half of that back. But it's anything to do with the front of your building. So signs, windows, doors, painting, awnings, anything that gives you that first impression. So my whole focus has been, the whole time I've been in this position, is the design of businesses. When you come into a main street, what do you see? Do you see good looking quality signs? That makes you want to stop, get out of your car, and walk down the street. Do you see active storefronts? Do you see businesses that have nice displays in the window that make you want to walk down the street? I actually had my own business on Main Street for 25 years before I even had this job. So it was where the Bronze was. That was my store for 26 years. And when I first came to Geneseo, I thought the thing we need to really improve here is the signage, because that's your first impression. You come to a village, what kind of village is this? You look at the signs. So even way back then, 1980, when I first came to Geneseo, I thought we need better signs in this town. And at first we tried to regulate it. And after about 10 years, I think I realized that the way to really do it is to incentivize it, to say, if you do a sign this way, we'll give you money towards it. And I feel like this is a win-win, because lots of times business owners say, well, I just want to cheap out on the sign, just get something up so that I can get open and get going. And then when I'm successful, I'll get a pretty sign, a nice sign, a quality sign. But in my opinion, and I know this is true, if you put up a quality sign, people are more likely to come to your store. You're more likely to be successful. That is probably your most important investment of all the things that you do when you start a business, is your sign. It is what tells people who you are and what you stand for. So I love that I get to run a program like that. Our county gives us about $75,000 a year to run a program like that. And it's available to any retail or tourism type business throughout the county.
I know when I walk down Main Street, I see these little green type flags that say Livco on them. Are those the businesses that are a part of this then, or are they just little signs indicating?
That is a program we started last year as part of our Buy Local program. We ordered those flags. We ordered 100 of them, and anybody who wanted to buy them could buy them from us. We designed them, and normally that flag would cost you, if you were a business owner and tried to get one, it would cost you $135 to get that. But we subsidized that, so the businesses that wanted a flag and wanted to hang it up, they only had to pay $25. I love that when you walk down the street, you see all these open, happy flags.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really makes a difference. It makes people feel more welcome. One thing I don't like is neon open signs in the window. Everybody thinks they need one, but it just looks wrong to me. And a flag actually sticks out from the business, and it has some movement. It's going to catch your eye even better than neon.
Yeah, I know I've definitely noticed the flags, so especially by like around Sweethearts, I think there's I saw it there. So as
Good.
a small type of anecdote, my hometown, we were a part of this documentary series called Small Business Revolution, and
yeah, I know what that is. What's the name of your town?
Fredonia, New York. You know, they granted us some money to, revitalize some of our small businesses, and I remember growing up, our main street had a lot of nice stores, and then they all shut down and things happened. So I think it's really interesting to see it here in Geneseo, in kind of my home away from home. I just like the connection between my two little homes.
Yeah.
But that kind of leads me to my next question. Have you noticed a resurgence in these small towns, specifically the Main Street towns that you've been working on?
It does ebb and flow. We do have a program, another part of our office, we work on, our program's called Dream of 8. So it will use grant funds to help people get in business that are doing a brand new business, something that isn't already in our county and something that we need. Now, the interesting thing about that to me is that we always think, we're giving away $25,000. We're going to get people from outside the county wanting to come in and start a business in one of our downtowns. Well, you know what? It ends up always being people who live here who want to start a business in their hometown. So it's that community pride, that pride of your place where you live, that really, that's why people want to start a business, and they want to do it in their hometown. It's just, as much as we try to recruit from outside, it doesn't really work. We really need to draw from the people who live here.
Mm-hmm. Demographics, they differ from town to town. There might be an older population majority in certain towns, or, we're a college town in Geneseo, so we have a lot of, young adults. Is there a certain demographic that you guys are trying to pull in?
Well, we always do want, especially in Geneseo, to attract the students, but we struggle with that because it's really hard to advertise on campus. We don't know how to do that. We don't know what will pull the students up to Main Street. There's a lot we don't know. And so my focus has always been to try to work with students or have student interns or have connections with student clubs so that we can learn more about what works to get students interested in Main Street or coming to Main Street. Usually it's the students who live off campus that are patronizing the Main Street businesses more. It's hard with the first 2 years. They're so on campus in the dorms, and they have everything they need down here. It's hard to get them up. But one thing that's new about Geneseo in the last year and a half is that we actually have more music and entertainment than we ever had before. So we have Drum Roll over here on Court Street, and we have the Riviera, and then the Wadsworth Homestead does summer concert series too. So we have a lot more music and entertainment events, but we don't know how to get the students to them, and we don't know what the students want. And, everybody tells us the students don't go out.
I've noticed, because I'm a junior, so I've been here 2 years, over my last year, my sophomore year, there are so many student bands. It's insane. And they play a drum roll. I think they've been up to the Riviera. I know we had one band play a live show here at the radio station. So
wow.
I don't know if that might be a way to get people
That
around.
did help. Yes, I remember one of the first time we had a student band at the Riviera, and Elena, did you remember her?
No.
Maybe it was a couple of years ago, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. So we want to keep that going. As far as demographics, we just need people.
Yeah.
The main reason people come to Livingston County is either Letchworth State Park or to visit family for family events like weddings or family reunions, things like that, and also the college, to visit the college. Those are the three main reasons people come to Livingston County. But we're trying. I mean, one of the other things we're working on is creating more of a recreational economy. So promoting the trails and parks, and we really haven't paid attention to that over the last, we just started paying attention to it in the last 5 years. So something really need to work on.
Would you say the goal of LivCo is to increase more like residential and local tourism, or drawing people from outside Livingston County in?
Well, both, actually, because, we produce a magazine every quarter telling about all the things there are to do in Livingston County, and it's really beautifully done, and it focuses on different businesses each quarter and different things to do depending on the season. So this is distributed really locally in the county. And so why do we go to this much trouble? Because people don't know what there is to do in our own county, in the county that they live in. And we're trying to inspire them to do more things around the county, not just in their town, and to have community pride too. And also to be sort of a concierge for when people do come here and they say, what is there to do? Now they know, hopefully.
Where can people find those magazines? Are they distributed in local businesses?
Yes, so Touch of Grace always has some, and Sweet Arts is another place we usually have some in the local businesses. And they're free.
Okay. The website says that you've been a part of LivCo since 2005. What are some of the initiatives you've done over your nearly 10 years working there now?
Well, the Mural Festival, that was a big one. That was a $200,000 project, and it took a year and a half of work to make it happen, but it was really, really successful. And now we have people coming to the county just to see the murals and going from town to town to see them. I want to work more on public art, more, because we didn't really have any public art in our villages, in our downtowns. So I want to increase that more. But to answer your question, go back some of the initiatives. It's been all over the board, everything from teaching classes in small business and teaching business owners how to create destination type businesses. I've done that. I've, of course, had the First Impressions grant program. We've done probably $10 million in renovations in our downtowns with New York State Main Street money. That's a lot of grant compliance work that you have to do, working with business owners and building owners in that case to help them do the project the way the state wants it done. So that can get pretty complicated. But the more we save buildings downtown, the more we increase apartments, residential units in the downtown above the buildings, the healthier the downtown will be, the more sustainable it will be. This downtown revitalization is really a green movement. You're saving buildings, you're not building a whole new building with somewhere else. So there's a lot of good things about revitalizing your downtown. But it's dependent on the businesses. As much as we can fix up the buildings and get new signs, and if businesses go out of business, then we got to refill it with something else. And the whole vitality of the downtown is dependent on the businesses. So that's why we also have programs to try to incentivize people starting new businesses.
This entire time we've been talking about businesses. We're talking super small local businesses. Is there kind of a resistance to letting like big chain stores or, more major known brands coming into these small towns?
Well, first of all, they don't want to because we're not big enough for them. We don't have enough foot traffic. Geneseo itself, up in the Walmart, Wegmans section, that's where they want to be, because Geneseo is sort of the retail center for Livingston County. So, to answer your question, also, we have had times where our community has fought, say, Walmart or Lowe's. We've fought some of that expansion. I think those days are over, because now when Starbucks is interested in building something up by where Wegmans Walmart is. And at first the community was a little not in support, but now I think they are, because they realize we need those kinds of businesses to keep people here.
Mm-hmm. Over your last 10 years working here, have you seen these small businesses kind of strengthen, would you say?
I think they struggle because the economy has changed so much. And I think we were all on an upswing until the pandemic, and then now people are really struggling with keeping help and having the help that they need to have a successful business. People changed a lot of their habits during the pandemic too. My personal opinion is that we are in a state of flux right now, and it's yet to be determined what the new kind of economy is going to be in these downtowns. Food always is something that sells, but it has to be good. It has to be different. And we in Western New York have really struggled with that. When the alum who bought all the buildings in Mount Morris, his name is Greg O'Connell, and he revitalized Red Hook down in Brooklyn as well. And when we were doing Mount Morris, one of the things he said was, what kind of businesses do you think we need? And I wanted to get ethnic restaurants, or restaurants with different kinds of food, different nationalities, and we just couldn't recruit any. I think if we had that, I think it would be successful, but, it's just talking them into it.
Mm-hmm. Beyond the business owners themselves, customers, do you think the economic status of, just say, the country and people individually has affected businesses a lot?
Yeah, yes. I think, obviously, the inflation that we're experiencing right now, it's really starting to hit right now. It's interesting, like, the whole pandemic, it's just like, it was okay. Prices went up, people still bought things, people still built things, but now I think it's really slowing down. I'm not sure what the future is going to be at this point. We are seeing, say, in Geneseo actually has more vacancies now than it's ever had since I've been here. Mm-hmm. And it's always been the place you couldn't get a space if you wanted to start a business. So businesses have gone out, but new ones are coming in. So it's just a shift, and I think it may take a couple years at this point, but it will all work itself out. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what the new mix of businesses is. I mean, we used to have shoe stores, we used to have clothing stores, and nobody's got those anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know in my hometown, I think we have one clothing store on Main Street, and I didn't even know we had it. I found out the last time I went home. So
wow.
I'd definitely like to see those increase in downtowns.
Back in the 80s, the students would buy, they would be more like boutique purchasers, you know, but it shifted somewhere in there in the 90s or early 2000s where the students are all like brand conscious. So we don't have brands here, except, well, we did get TJ Maxx, so you could probably buy a brand up there. But in general, our clothing or our stores would be more boutique-y and not really brand.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a shift that happened too.
Do you think online shopping too has affected these small businesses?
Definitely, yeah. But like I said, I used to have my own business, and even back then, it was starting to shift because one of the things I sold was cameras. And so people would come in and get all the information and then go online and buy it cheaper, you know. So I still think there's a lot of that where people are price shopping online. Also, I myself am guilty of this. You know, you think, oh, I need this particular thing. And you go to 5 different stores and they don't have it. And you're like, I'm just going to order it from Amazon. It'll just come to my door.
Yeah.
And everyone breaks down and does that. I think customer service is another thing that you could talk about. And I just recently was thinking about how would we do some classes on that would really get the message across. Because I feel like from my own experience, if I go into even a really nice store and I have bad customer service, I don't ever want to go back. One time, one person helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And it has ruined my opinion of that store. I think that's so important. And in our small businesses in the downtown, you don't have that too much because it's usually the owners and they care. But that customer service, and if a visitor's coming into your shop and says, where can I ride my bike? And you don't know, that's not a good sign for our community. You know, I don't know where you could ride a bike here.
What I'm hearing is you guys want to increase the interconnectedness of the communities within Livingston County, whether it's economically or through tourism or even just creating a bigger sense of community pride.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you got that. I think a lot of these programs like the public art has really brought the communities together because they feel a part of something.
I know a lot of students here on campus, they're really passionate about the arts, and I know they're really happy to have the mural. And I think a lot of the small businesses support a lot of the arts, like the gallery. They have like all that stuff. I know I buy postcards there and I send them home, and so, you know, I think that's a really great thing for Geneseo alone. I don't know about the other villages and towns that are a part of LivCo, but I think that that's going to be a really good point for them.
The gallery is a 100% such a positive thing, and that is a local person who wanted to do it for the community, a couple that wanted to do it for the community, and they've really made a difference in bringing the arts forward. Just kind of interesting, like 3 years ago, we brought a travel writer, and she came here to do a show on Livingston County. But before they came, they interviewed us and asked us all the things that, you know, are great about our county and what should they focus on. And I think they really struggled to find things that were different enough from other counties that they wanted to feature. But they found a lot of good things, Letchworth, of course. But at the end of the conversation, they asked us, so who are your makers in your county, your artists, and we didn't have a good answer. And that was 3-4 years ago because we really didn't have anybody featuring artists. We didn't have local artists with studios that were open to the public, that kind of thing. And so we've really focused on that too over those last 3 years. And now all of a sudden we know who all the artists are in our county. We usually feature 1 or 2 artists in our quarterly guides.
So just for people that are new to Livingston County or traveling by, what are some things you'd recommend that they go look at or, you know, visit?
There are some things that are seasonal, but one place that we always think of as the Abbey of the Genesee. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
So it's a really cool building, and it is a functioning abbey, so it has a very spiritual kind of feeling to it, and it's in a beautiful setting, and it's only like 10 minutes away from here, from Geneseo. It's historic, and people come from all over the world to visit there. We also have Linwood Gardens, which does the Peony Festival every year. So they're not open all the time, but when they are open, it's just amazing. And of course, Letchworth State Park. And Stony Brook is also a really cool little park. We actually have more trails. We have the Genesee Valley Greenway Trail that you could walk parts of or bike. There's more things than you would think.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
Well, I really would like to see more college community connection. I'd like to work with students more to develop Main Street or work on projects on Main Streets or with local businesses. I know they all need help with social media.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.